Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Fearless Leadership Retreat webinar. We're going to wait for other attendees to join. So let's just give everybody just a few minutes to make sure they're able to join us this morning.
And good afternoon to those of us joining from Europe.
Yes. And a good early morning of those of us joining from Hawaii and other places around the globe.
Well, let's formally welcome, since we've already talked about where we're coming from. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know we have a couple folks joining as far away as Europe, including David. We'll hear from David here in just a few minutes. And then, of course, Robin Tosek, one of our hosts for this webinar. She's joining all the way from Hawaii. So it's early morning for her and late afternoon for David and everybody else in Europe. We are super excited for you to join us and hear more about our upcoming leadership retreat in San Sebastian in late May. David, Robin, and I have been collaborating on a number of projects over the years, but this is the first time that we've had the opportunity to lead a retreat together. We've offered different leadership retreats and offsites and so forth. And in fact, Robin will talk a little bit about her business doing that in just a few minutes. But together, this is the first time that we're able to collaborate and bring this leadership retreat to you. And we're very excited about that opportunity, and we hope you are as well. One of the things that inspired us about this leadership retreat is things are changing in the world. Not only leaders, the expectation that employees have of leaders to navigate their internal complexity, different working situations. Teams are increasingly working remote. Employee expectations are different and increasing, and leaders have a lot of work to do to kind of keep up on the changing business climate and become an effective leader and remain an effective leader in that context. But outside the work environment, all of the political shifts and sense of urgency about climate and technology disruption, all of those disruptions, leaders have to be aware of, not only to take care of their organizations inside of their current company, but also if they aspire to make an impact outside their company, they need to be aware of some of those challenges. But what if you could turn those disruptions into opportunities for yourself? That's our vision for this retreat coming up. We want to empower you, aspiring leaders, to really expand your leadership impact in your current role, or extend your leadership impact beyond your current role if you're looking to make a career change or focus on some of the social challenges that the world is facing, or even step into your first leadership role. Our goal for this leadership retreat is really to empower you as leaders to take advantage of one or more of those three opportunities that I just mentioned. So this retreat, we think, is unique. It is a unique space for leaders. If you've never been to the Basque Country or San Sebastian, it truly is one of a kind place in this world. Great weather, great scenery, great food. David's going to talk a little bit more about why San Sebastian later on, but really is this unique space that we think is conducive to the leadership retreat that we envision. We also plan to offer copious opportunities both before, during, and after the retreat for participants to network and connect and learn from each other. We, of course, are going to design this retreat and have designed this retreat for personal and professional growth, with David's, Robin's, and my professional leadership experience that we'll get into in a few minutes. A lot of leadership experiences that we want to share from ourselves, but also encourage you to share from your perspective as well. And then lastly, if we bring all those ingredients together, this unique destination, some of the experiences that we're going to include in the retreat, and then all of our combined experiences, we believe that this retreat will be truly transformative. So if one of these people is you, this retreat really is designed for you. If you're a current organizational leader, if you're a thought leader or an aspiring thought leader, or even stepping into your very first leadership role, we think this leadership retreat is designed for you. We want leaders to grow their capacity to fearlessly lead. If you're not able to become a fearless leader, your opportunities to make an impact in the changing climate inside the workforce, inside the workplace, and the changing expectations outside the workplace are going to be diminished unless you're able to step in and really become this fearless leader that we envision for you. Here are the things that we expect you'll gain from this retreat. The first is clarity in your own leadership vision. Where are you going as an organization? Where are you going in your own leadership journey? All of those things we'll help you and work together to craft a vision that is inspiring to you and the people around you. We want to make sure that you have the tools so that you have confidence in your decision making. With things changing as fast as they are, oftentimes people can become paralyzed because there's not enough data, or things will change tomorrow, or they're not quite sure what the best solution to a current problem might be. We want to give you the tools so that you can increase your confidence in that decision making. A lot of value comes from learning from each other, not just David, Robin, and I learning from you and you learning from us, but also learning from other participants. And we'll create a lot of opportunities for you to make meaningful peer connections so that you can learn from each other before, during, and after the retreat. But even outside of the retreat, we hope that you continue to connect and learn from each other and build meaningful relationships with the other participants that you'll meet. And of course, professional and personal growth. And all of that, we hope that you're going to come out of this retreat super inspired to make a more meaningful, durable, and fearless impact, whether it's in your organization or outside of your organization. So who are David, Mike, and Robin? So that first of all, we believe we're very empathetic leaders. We really care about the people in our organizations. We care about some of the social challenges that the world is facing. We aspire to do more to address those challenges and become an effective leader in our own teams. We're also experienced facilitators. I mentioned before that all of us have led retreats or offsites or workshops in different contexts. While this is the first time that we're coming together to do that, all of us have lots of experience doing that outside of this Fearless Leadership Retreat coming up in May. And we're all committed to our own growth and balance. One of the things that you'll hear about in this retreat is the need to remain balanced, not just in your work life, but balanced in your interpersonal connections and your overall wellness. And then we're also dedicated to our own development, all of us. And in fact, David and I met going back and getting our executive MBAs in a school in Europe a few years ago. Well after we had 20 years or so in our own career. So that's an example of us focusing on our own growth and leadership journey. So that's the first thing, is we're dedicated to growth and leadership. We're also dedicated to making an impact on the world as we get to know each other. I'm hoping that one of the things that we'll get a chance to talk about is the opportunity that each of us, the participants, and then your hosts, spend in making an impact beyond our current official roles. And then lastly, we're dedicated to your development as leaders, not just in this retreat. We hope that you're able to join us, but we also hope that you're willing to connect with us on LinkedIn and share what you're working on, and we can exchange thoughts about what we're working on, and maybe together that relationship can help us each grow and increase our impact. So that's us as a team. Let me share, let me now switch to individual introductions. So I'm going to start with myself. I'm Mike Miles. I believe I've met many of you that have joined the call, though probably not all of you. There's a few new names that I don't recognize, which is tremendous. So I'm super excited to meet you. The QR code in the lower right is my LinkedIn profile. I would love for you, either during or immediately after this webinar, for you to connect with me and share a little bit about what you're working on, and maybe share why you're interested in this upcoming retreat. Love to build relationships with everybody who's attending this morning. So I'm currently located in Seattle. Seattle, it is snowy, and at least at my house, it's in the low 20s, but the sun is out. It's just beautiful outside today. And so it's very inspiring. I wish I could sit outside. It's just a little bit too cold for that. But looking out my window, it really is a nice day here. Other projects that I'm working on right now. So two of note, I'm a fractional executive. I have 3 clients. The biggest of those clients, we just closed our Series A funding round. And I'm helping that company absorb those proceeds and make sure that we have budget and operational plans to carry us forward the next 18 months or so. So that's one big project I'm working on. I'm also a board chair of a social impact accelerator program called the Watson Institute based in Boulder, Colorado. Very excited about the opportunity to participate in that organization and watch the social entrepreneurs that are involved in the Watson Institute make their own impact. It really is an inspiring opportunity for me to just understand and see the passion that these social entrepreneurs have and their own fearlessness in attacking some of the world's largest problems. A surprising experience that's taught me a lot about leadership. So I volunteer as a student mentor in my local school district. I took on a new mentee a few weeks ago, and we were connected because I have a technology background and the student has a strong interest in technology. I brought a bunch of activities for this student and I to work on, but it turned out what he wanted was an opportunity to be heard. And so we spent our first couple sessions, me just asking a couple well-placed questions about what technology he's interested in and how he got interested in technology and what he's using to foster, or what he's doing to kind of foster that interest. But most of the conversation was led by him. And I got a note from his mom earlier this week, just was so grateful that the organization through I mentor through and myself created this opportunity for this student to really just express his interest in technology. And for me, there's just such a profound message that we as leaders, some of the simplest things that we could do by creating opportunities for those that we work with to have space to be heard. And so that's my surprising experience about leadership. I'm going to ask Robin to answer the 3 similar questions as well. So Robin, where are you calling in from? What are the other projects you're working on? And maybe you can give us one of the useless skills that you think is an indispensable leadership skill.
Oh, great. Well, aloha, everyone. I'm calling in from Oahu, Hawaii. And I'm just so thrilled to get to be part of this retreat with 2 of my favorite people on the planet. And I just wanted to amplify really what all the great things that Mike's already shared by just saying that the purpose of this is really to create a leadership development and retreat experience like no other. And it's our hope and intention that you'll walk away too with having a new sense of compassion, confidence, and courage in your leadership. And I think that kind of translates into, I'll answer this question first, seemingly useless skills, and then I'll get into a little bit of my who I am and what I've been up to over these years. But seemingly useless skills are also indispensable leadership skills. I mean, I don't know if they're seemingly useless skills, but I think one of the most important and maybe most obvious things that are indispensable leadership skills is really self-awareness and kind of self-management and being really able to understand and know how you are and how you're showing up in the workplace, what's going on internally within your own person, and then who you're coming to and showing up as a leader out in the world. And leadership expands far beyond our work experience. Moments ago, my son actually came in to give me a morning hug, and I'm a leader in my own family. I'm a leader in my community with the experiences that I'm doing. So it's having that self-awareness and showing up with that very first. And then it's who are you showing up in relationship, right? So it's that relationship management as well. So I would say they're the most valuable skills in leadership to me is just really having that simple self-awareness and continual check-in with that, and then being able to manage who you are in a group setting. And that's helped me. That's one of the most valuable things I've gained over the years through my experience, through multiple entrepreneurship iterations. I'm a 5-time founder. I worked almost 12 years in the corporate world for Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Lululemon, and have just had so many experiences that led me to where I am today with my most exciting projects that have kind of brought together everything over the combination of these years. So Savvy Self is where I lead workshops and retreats. I've led and co-led over dozens of retreats over the years, and just learned and engaged so much. And I think the retreat environment is just such a great way to break away from the normal distractions, especially now in the world, and really dive deep into our own self-awareness and then connect with other change makers to be able to do the same. So that's why I love the work that I'm doing today with that. And then I also get to teach entrepreneurship at the University of Arizona. And that's where I connected with Mike initially. And he connected me with David. And I'm just so grateful to get to have this experience to work with amazing leaders and then inspire that in other people. So hopefully that answered all those questions, Mike.
Nice job, Robin. Thank you. Let's switch the microphone over to David. So David's going to introduce himself here, but he's also going to talk to us a little bit more about San Sebastian and where we'll be staying during the retreat. So David, where are you calling from, and what are some of the projects you're working on, and some of the leadership advice that you've received that you should have ignored?
Well, if you can't already imagine or guess, I'm in San Sebastian. We here call it San Sebastian, not San Sebastian, but it is forgivable if it's not a place that you're familiar with. Also known as Donostia, the Basque word for San Sebastian. I spent about 3 years traveling the world after selling an ed tech company in 2019 and after our INSEAD business school experience. And I was going from country to country for about a month at a time and decided I'd spend 4 months here in San Sebastian. And I'm still here 16 months later and don't have any plans to leave. It is heaven on earth. There are 3 gorgeous white sand beaches that you can see in all of our little background images. Actually, I think you can only see 2 of them. But yeah, you can see 2 of the beaches there. There's another one on the other side of the mountain on the left. And they're surrounded by gorgeous green mountains because we get plenty of rain here throughout the year. Mike said the weather was great here. It is great most of the time, but we have our periods of just nonstop rain, and that just makes the landscape gorgeous. We also have, many of you have probably heard of the Camino de Santiago, one of the most famous pilgrim trails. I think most people think there's just one trail, but that's not true. There's a lot of different routes that you can take. And the one that goes through San Sebastian is probably the hardest, but also the most beautiful. And so during the retreat, we plan on taking you through part of that trail to give you the experience of what it's like to spend, up to 2 months walking along the Camino de Santiago. Leadership advice I've received that I should have ignored. I try to ignore bad advice at the start and not follow it and then ignore it. I wish I'd ignored it later, but I think I was brought up to believe that the customer is always right. And I think it's a good premise to start from because it is better to err on the side of the customer. But over time, you realize that what you should do is respect the customer always, listen to the customer always. And then when you need to be able to tell the customer why they're wrong, you have to have the confidence and the experience to explain to them why what they're saying is actually wrong. So, and that also touches on how you manage your team, because if you think the customer is always right and you always do what the customer wants, then you're going to burn out your team, and that becomes a challenge. And so understanding how to advocate for your team and also advocate for the customer in a way that sort of optimizes productivity and positive feelings at the end is more important than just assuming that the customer is always right. I sold an ed tech company in 2019, didn't know what to do with myself because after like 29 years in business, both in the private sector and working for my own company, I thought I should just go back to grad school because, what else? So I went and was thrilled to meet Mike and others. I think some of you might even be on this call in Fontainebleau, France. And then, of course, COVID happened and I just traveled around the world. And now, literally today, as we speak, I'm launching the an ed tech product, data analytics and visualization with our first client in Texas. And so if I keep looking to the left every once in a while, it's just making sure that everything is going okay with the launch. And I'm simultaneously launching a venture studio because we already have 3 other tech products in development that will wrap into the venture studio concept. So I keep myself busy. I also study French, Italian, Euskera, which is Basque, in Basque, guitar, piano, and ukulele. So I am definitely a lifelong learner and really excited about having you all come to what is now my favorite town in the world.
David, thank you for that. You shared a lot of what makes San Sebastian unique. One thing you didn't mention, maybe you can shed some light on, is what's the food and the wine like in San Sebastian?
The food and the wine might be the reason that I stayed. I'm not sure. It's a toss up between nature and the food and wine. We have within. I'm not a huge like must go to fancy restaurants all the time kind of person, but we do have um, 18 Michelin stars within a 25-kilometer radius. So there's a huge density of Michelin star restaurants. The restaurants that aren't Michelin star restaurants are exceptional, some of the best I've ever had in the world. We have a world-class cooking school called the Basque Culinary Center that attracts people from all over the world. And part of the reason is there's a really strong belief here in conservation and local is best in terms of produce and food and all these things. So the ingredients are all incredibly fresh. I buy most of my own ingredients at this local market that's about a block away, and I'm getting, stuff that this morning was well, maybe not this morning, maybe yesterday it was a cow, and now it's my cuts of meat, or the fish that have just come out of the water that morning and are being served that night. So the only other place in the world that I can even compare the freshness is maybe Vietnam, which also has extraordinary food. The wine scene, there's a huge emphasis on natural wines, which are made with the natural yeast and no sulfites. And so a lot of people think that that helps them reduce their headaches. But really, it's just a more sustainable way of growing the grapes. There's no pesticides, so it's organic plus, which means that we're really stewards of the nature around us here. And you can tell in everything that I eat and drink. But this summer, to offset all of the eating and drinking that I do on a regular basis here, I'm gonna have to go to a yoga retreat in Bali to detox a little bit.
David, thanks for that. Since you're on the microphone
Yeah,
already, would you mind talking about why you focused on or selected the hotel that we're going to be staying in? One of the nice things about having David on the ground in San Sebastian is he has relationships with a lot of the folks that live and work in the community there, and it's been great to have David research the hotel where we're staying, restaurants that we're going to eat, and so forth. So, David, one of the projects that you just finished for us is selecting the hotel. Do you want to talk a little bit about the hotel?
sure. Yeah, the center of town is, not very creatively called El Centro. And in El Centro, there's a church, the Buen Pastor Cathedral, which you can see in the background of this picture. And the Hotel Herbaso is, as you can see, very, very close to that. So it gives us access to the entire city. We can walk in one direction and be at one of the beaches, walk in a different direction, be at a different beach, walk in a different direction, be in the Parte Vieja, which is the historical old part of the city. Um, the rooms are absolutely gorgeous. There's 3 different room types, so there's some options in terms of what level of room you want, but it's a breathtaking hotel. It has a nice restaurant on the ground floor with some meeting space where we can have our breakfast meetings in the morning. So it's perfectly situated for us. Plus, one of my friends works there, so that means that anything we need, we can have access to. And then I will also, just to echo Mike's point on my knowledge of the food industry here, I very quickly, I came by myself and didn't know anybody, so I got to know the chef of my favorite restaurant and got him to recommend some of his favorite restaurants, and then he started going to eat with me and introducing me to some of his favorite chefs, and one thing led to another, and now I basically know everyone in town.
One other nice thing about San Sebastian is it's really, really walkable. And so while this hotel is in the middle of town or in the town center, it's easy to walk to the beach and some of the other things that we'll be experiencing as well. Which leads me to our schedule. So we're still developing the detailed program, but this is at a high level how we envision the week unfolding. So we'll ask everybody to arrive on May 28th. That's a Wednesday. We'll have some networking and getting settled time and so forth on Wednesday, and then dinner together Wednesday night. On Thursday, our current plan is to walk Camino del Santiago that David had mentioned. And we'll use that experience to kind of reflect a little bit and start the discussion about our current leadership journey, some of our current leadership challenges, and start the conversation also about where we want our leadership journey to take us. That's on Thursday. On Friday, David is arranging for us to go enjoy dinner at one of his favorite restaurants, and we'll provide more details about that soon. Saturday, one of the things that Robin didn't talk a lot about is she spends a lot of time in Hawaii surfing, and so she's going to help us on a little bit of an ocean adventure on Saturday morning. And then on Sunday we'll have some networking in the morning, a little bit goodbye ceremony, and everybody will be free to leave the retreat and either extend their visit to Spain or head back home. Every day there'll be these experiences that I just mentioned. So we'll be hiking on Thursday, enjoying great food and wine on Friday, Saturday, a little bit of an ocean adventure. So those are the experiences I'm talking about. We do have reflection time. One of the things that we strongly believe in is that your opportunity to sit, reflect on the things that you learned and where you're going, and ideally journal some of those things is a very important component of your leadership development. And so we'll be creating time for that. We're going to structure one-on-ones. And so I know that many of you probably will not have known each other much before we get together. And so we're going to pair each other up a few different times during the week and make sure that you get a chance to meet, hopefully, all participants. We'll see if we can schedule in all those one-on-ones, but we want to make sure we give everybody a chance to meet with people that they otherwise wouldn't ordinarily meet with, and that's the structure one-on-ones. We, of course, will have some group sessions as well, and then many evenings, a couple of evenings anyway, we'll have a fireside chat where we'll drill down on specific topics as well. We just have a couple minutes left. I want to switch over to Q&A. Anybody that's on the call, you're free to enter a question in the Q&A window, and then David has collected a few questions from people that weren't able to join us as well. And so we'll share the time between participant questions and the questions that David has.
And there's a couple questions in the Q&A already, Mike, if you've seen.
Robin, I think the first question we'll hand over to you. What if we haven't surfed before?
Well, the great thing about surfing is that it's one of the most exciting and challenging sports. So even if you have surfed before, surfing in a new place, it opens up a whole different aspect of mindset challenges, right? So the whole idea with each of these experiences is really to kind of get you out of your comfort zone and give you the opportunity to try something new, particularly with surfing. A lot of people haven't surfed in the world. And what we want to do is try and give you the best of San Sebastian. And so a big part of that is spending time near the ocean and near the coast. And we'll consider it, there'll be different levels of participation to your boundary and comfort. So it'll be an ocean experience, and look at it that way. And if you don't swim, there'll be different opportunities for you to participate and engage with the group and just really expand your mindset through this experience. And the other thing I wanted to say is we're going to team up with some amazing local Basque guides. So you'll get to hear their stories and learn from them as well. So that's really our goal with this leadership retreat, is that we are the hosts, but we're curating this really incredible experience and bringing in all of these, as many local aspects and as local people as we can. So,
great, Robin, thank you. Jordan asked a question. Jordan's question is, will we have an opportunity to meet other participants before the retreat? Yes, absolutely. One thing that we didn't speak a lot about just yet is we'll have 3 Zoom calls before the retreat. One of those sessions is to talk about logistics and make sure that people know how to get to the retreat and what to bring. The second call will really be that networking thing that you're talking about, where we'll have virtual coffee or virtual wine, depending on the time of day it is, for whoever's calling in, and give each other a chance to give everyone a chance to meet each other. And then the third call will be things that we want you to think about and reflect on before the retreat starts. So yes, there will be an opportunity to meet people before the retreat. And like I had mentioned before, we're hoping that you turn those into long-lasting relationships as well. Somebody asked, this is coming from David, who's brokering questions from other participants, like how big is the group plan to be? We will keep the team size or the cohort size anywhere between 12 and 20 people. We're not going to go beyond 20. We want the opportunity to interact with all the participants and keep it fairly small and intimate. So we won't go beyond 20. We're getting close. We hope we're getting close to the minimum of 12 people sign up. So somewhere between 12 and 20 is the number that we're targeting. David, the next question I'm going to ask of you is like, how's the weather in May, especially late May?
Yeah, I mean, so somewhere in the low to high 60s probably is the high temperature. It could be in the 70s, but it could also be in the 60s during the day. Nighttime wouldn't get below the 50s. So cool, really nice weather for our hike. And surfing, we'll be wearing wetsuits, but people in San Sebastian actually wear wetsuits year round. So I've actually never surfed with a wetsuit, so it'll be a new experience for me.
Great, David. Another question I think from one of our participants that you provided is, will there be any pre-work before the retreat? Yeah, one of the sessions that we're going to have before the retreat is start the conversation about where you are in your leadership journey and where you want your leadership journey to take you. From that Zoom session, there will be some pre-work. It won't be much, but we do want you to come into the retreat ready to work on some of the challenges that you're facing. And so, yes, the answer is yes, but it won't be a lot.
I could
Mike,
provide, oh, sorry, go ahead, Robin.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, Mike, I'll piggyback on that because I saw another question, just so we get it in, about packing list and dress code. We will provide all of that information so you feel very prepared, what to pack, what to expect, kind of suggested outfits for the different excursions and activities as well. So we'll make sure you're prepared. And like Mike said, we'll add in some of that to the pre-retreat Zoom calls as well.
And then thank you, Robin. And the last question that we'll tackle is, are there any additional resources or follow-up support after the retreat? Absolutely. One of the things that we think makes this retreat unique is that we plan to touch base with all the participants for a few months after the retreat and make sure that not only did you walk away inspired, but some of the tools that you'll develop while you're on this retreat, you're actually putting to practice. And if you're having challenges putting those tools to practice, we want to be there to support you and just hear how things are going. So yeah, absolutely. We'll have some follow-up afterwards, and we'll follow up after the retreat, and we'll share more details about that in the coming month. Okay, quick calls to action. So register early. If you get in and register by February 15th, you get to save $1,000. So instead of $7,500, price drops to $6,500. In addition, if you refer a colleague who then registers, we'll take an additional $200 off your registration fee. We want people to invite colleagues that they enjoy spending time with. So if you have somebody in mind that you think would make a great addition to our retreat cohort, please get them to sign up, and in exchange, we'll take $200 off of your registration fee. Hold the date, block out the dates now. So the retreat begins 2 p.m. on May 28th and ends at 11 a.m. on June 1st. If you could block your calendar so you don't later have some schedule conflicts, that would be great. We'll have those pre-retreat prep sessions, as I mentioned. We'll send out the calendar for that soon. We'll probably send out the calendar for that at the end of February or first part of March. So stay tuned for that. And then feel free to contact any of us. All of you have our LinkedIn profiles. Hopefully you've connected with all of us on LinkedIn, and we look forward to answering any questions that you might have. And then we'll share this slide deck with you, but just here's some key dates. We're going to open up registration tomorrow, so pay attention to that. You'll get a big email that's hard to miss about how to register. We need a deposit from anybody who's registering now of $500 just to hold your spot. If you register before February 15th, we'll knock $1,000 off, as I mentioned. And then registration closes on February 28th. So if you can't make the registration cutoff by February 15th, you have all the way till February 28th to complete that registration. So you have plenty of time to also tell your friends and colleagues that you might want to join us, that they have until February 28th as well. Your final registration payment is due by March 30th, and that's because David on the ground there needs to reserve our places in the hotel, reservations at restaurant, and some of the excursions that we mentioned. We need to put money to hold those spots, and so that's why we need registration payment by the end of March. And then in April, we'll start our prep meetings, and then May 28th through June 1st is the retreat. One last question. Will you share the slides? Absolutely. We'll share the slides. We'll send out an email, not only with the slides, but also the recording of this webinar. And we'll send that out shortly, probably on LinkedIn. So stay tuned for that. With that, I know we're a few minutes over, so we'll go ahead and close this retreat, and we look forward to hearing from everybody. David and Robin, any final words?
No, looking forward to seeing you all in San Sebastian.
My final words is just this is the work that we know we're meant to do right now in the world, is come together with this retreat, and we really hope that you join us and we can fearlessly lead together.
Thank you, guys, and thank you attendees for not only for joining but staying a few minutes over. We look forward to hearing from you soon.